It's the last day of Numbers today, with chapters 32 to 36. There's not a great deal goes on with this, actually. It feels almost like a wrap-up of the book itself. It's a little bit bitty and not much going on, but a few little interesting bits for us to look at just to finish this off before we move on to the summary and then Deuteronomy. There's a slightly odd bit where the Reubenites and the Gadites come to Moses and say they want some of the promised land east of the River Jordan. And I thought this was just some friendly people coming to offer help, fight, and then they'll get some land. But then it emerges that no, of course, the Reubenites and the Gadites are two of the tribes of Israel. So they would be involved anyway. I don't know if I've just missed something there, but everything broadly as we expect anyway, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. We'll move on. Chapter 33 is a specific account, specifically ordered by God, of everywhere that the Israelites have camped since they left Egypt. Seems like they've moved quite a bit. I guess it's 40 years, and then the tabernacle was meant to be portable. So they've perhaps not moved as much as you might think for a bunch of camping people, but they've certainly moved more than I have in the last 40 odd years. And it's interesting historically, I suppose, that we have all that information, because I gather there is some actual history that shows that there was an exodus from Egypt around about this time. I don't think anything actually relating to the plagues, unfortunately, but the actual transition of a very large group of people out of Egypt and up to Canaan seems to be reasonably straightforward in terms of historical evidence for it. Therefore, I guess it's reasonable that this account of where the Israelites camped might actually be a viable chunk of history. It's revealed at this point that Aaron died 40 years after leaving Egypt, so it was recent. And also he says that he died at 123 years old. Again, I have some trouble with that. Oh, that's not ridiculous like Noah or anything, obviously. But 123, that's still... I guess that's on the fringe of maybe that's just about possible, but a bit... it seems a bit more likely that someone can't count or something, maybe. Don't know. Chapter 34 is then another vaguely interesting historical piece, I suppose, in terms of God is very specific about where the boundaries are for the Promised Land. So I guess that combined with the history of where everybody moved, for historians, I guess, if not particularly interesting, I don't think, for our purposes at this stage at least. The Zelophehad chap comes up again, or obviously he's dead, so he doesn't come up. His daughters, again, the question is raised of what happens if his daughters marry someone from a different tribe. Because I gather, as I guess was the case for a lot of history, where women owned anything, if they married, then it was taken over by the husband, or women could only hold things on account or something bizarre like that. God seems very keen that he doesn't want property, inheritances, transferring between tribes. So he says that it's fine, the women who have inherited Zelophehad's estate can marry, but they have to marry within their own tribe. Bit odd. There's just something missing there in terms of why that matters, but it's interesting, I suppose, to see a problem arising and being dealt with on the hoof, and even if it is missing the why it matters and why that solution is supposedly a good one. But anyway, that's it. The most interesting bit I found in that actually was Aaron dying at 123, which seems kind of late, but also God said at the time that it was coming, so God knew it was happening and didn't do anything about it when he clearly could have done, to the extent that he exists, obviously. It's interesting that does allude to God he's clearly intervening quite a bit, although in the last 40 years it's covered in not that many pages, so I guess he's perhaps not intervening that much, but certainly he seems to be intervening to steer things on a big picture. He's not intervening at the level of the first ever high priest of Israel, having his life saved and living an extraordinary long life like Noah. Although Moses is still alive, I guess, at this point, and he must be about a similar age, so I guess it's very similar. But yeah, so that is finished the book of Numbers. The next episode will be a summary, ignoring the story, just doing the big ideas and how they fit in with what we'd read before. And then, yes, on to the book of Deuteronomy and figuring out what that word means as well.